Powered by Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome into Inside Arkansas Live here on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. Appreciate each and every one of you listening in and watching in here on this beautiful day. And we also appreciate you for making us a part of your afternoon this afternoon. I'm John Neighbors alongside Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis. And fellas, happy Monday as basically the college sports scene has come to an end as far as on the field. But we enter into the dog days of summer, as they say, but a lot of fun times ahead. But how are we feeling here on this Monday after the weekend?
Great, man. It's talking season. I've really enjoyed spending my Monday learning about the Kentucky Standard. Happy to take a little break from that and talk some Razorbacks and other things.
Yeah, I love it. I love how the chat also has like already done the math and realized they're like, wait a minute, you guys don't have anything to talk about. What do y'all want to do? And so they're gonna see how we navigate this. But honestly, this is a good time of year. You know, there's not much going on. It's nice to settle down a little bit. But I feel like for the next few months, it's just going to be us taking turns ranting about random things. Because over the course of the summer, there's going to be certain things that catch our attention that we'll get to rant about, and so we're going to make it fun as we always do.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's always going to be things going on, and we can always tie it to Arkansas when we truly want it to. So, but we're going to have plenty to discuss. We're going to get into all of your chats, folks. We're going to get to your comments. We're going to get into everything that happened over the sports weekend, not only Razorback related, but non-Razorback related, and have a lot of fun with that. So we'll have an Alumni Hall question of the day, a little vibe check of the chat, presented by Basis Health, as well as our best and worst of the weekend, presented by Looper Auction and Realty. But shout out to Wehiva Aloy for winning the Golden Spikes, the third Golden Spikes winner in the Razorback baseball program, third under Dave Van Horn, third in 10 years, actually. This was quite the honor, quite the cool thing. Obviously, I'm sure he and everybody else would have traded that if it meant a College World Series title, but still just another really cool thing for Dave Van Horn, for Wehiva Aloy, and for the Razorback baseball program in general, having somebody like him win this award where, I'll be honest, a few weeks ago, I didn't know if it would be him, but it was awesome to see him finally nab the award.
Hey. It's my shout out to Wehiva Aloy for getting it done. That's awesome, man. I'm so excited for him, pumped for him. And Andrew, you talked about it a lot where this is kind of been a little bit of a unique year in terms of, the Golden Spikes Award, the race, and, not a whole lot of separation between the three candidates. Not really usually you just have some crazy numbers and somebody who really stands out or whatever, but you could have made a compelling argument for really all three of those guys, but especially the two shortstops there. I'm pumped that Wehiva got it. Very, very deserving, and never a more, humble and cool character to get that thing than him. So very happy for him. It was very cool to see Dave Van Horn out there rocking the Hawaiian shirt during the presentation. That really put a big smile on my face. So all in all, just a great thing to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, like we would much rather have him accepted that award right before he starts his run at the College World Series finals. That would have been awesome. But I think it's interesting. You mentioned that you could have made a compelling case for all three of the guys, and it was a weird year in college baseball where the individual seasons, like there weren't a ton of guys that put up these crazy, unreal numbers. All those guys had good numbers. I mean, hitting 350 with 21 home runs. That's one of the best seasons we've ever seen in Fayetteville. But there really wasn't a ton of separation between the top teams in the country and the top players in the country. And so I think it was one of those years, I guess you could call it a down year. Like some years the Heisman winner has 5,000 yards. Some years the Heisman winner is Mark Ingram. This was closer to a Mark Ingram Heisman, but I think that it's representative of Wehiva Aloy, and one, just how popular he is nationally in Arkansas, the numbers he put up and just the year he had and sort of the figure he was for this Razorback team. Certainly Arkansas's star, certainly the face of the program. And I think that honestly, his aura won him this award in a weird way. Like, of course he had to be good at baseball, but I think that when you win an award like this, it sort of represents to me, like when we look back at this season, that's like the year, the Wehiva Aloy year, the Johnny Manziel year back in the day, the Joe Burrow year. Like you're the most notable player from that season. I think Wehiva Aloy, from a star power standpoint, is that guy. And that's why it's awesome to have that as a program. And for Arkansas to have three in the last 10 years, would we trade those for natties? 100%. But this is definitely notable, and it's certainly going to be something that Dave Van Horn and his staff can use to recruit a good bit.
I'm going to be that old head and that lame dude that's, like, of course, looking at it, and it's so cool to see him win it. But just to see somebody win it with the personality that he has, in a day and age of college baseball where flash, pizzazz, pompous, crazy antics, a lot of that gets the attention on social media, gets the attention from those who are newer to the game, maybe, and like what's driving, which I'm not hating on it from the perspective of, getting eyeballs on TVs because it's working. Like I think that there's a lot of truth to that where you have guys acting fools out there or whatever. It's going to drive attention, whether it's good or bad. But to see someone like Aloy, who could not be more opposite of that. I mean, his little celebration that he does, as you see right there, that's probably as crazy as he gets when it comes to his celebrations and everything. And so I just think it's awesome that at the end of the day, it wasn't about somebody who was just flashy and somebody who was always on social media and everything. Not to say the other two guys were that way, but it was just nice to see that, hey, it was about the numbers. It was about the play. It was about the game. And hey, kids out there, you can be a really good baseball player and have some really cool things happen and get some really cool awards and everything if you just go out there and play really well. Like that's what I was really happy to see, is just getting rewarded for going out and playing, not what you are on social media. The numbers speak for themselves.
Yeah, man. I mean, he gives off some pretty good role model vibes there, doesn't he? I want my kid to play the game like Wehiva Aloy. But seriously, I think that's awesome. He's our humble hero here at Arkansas. And, the other side of that is, he's getting ready to begin a professional career, which I imagine is going to be a long and lucrative one. And that kind of stuff is something that MLB front offices, they take notice of. A lot of these guys who are going to be drafted as high as he is are going to be immensely talented. That kind of comes with the territory there. But when you have a guy who can show the maturity and the poise and everything that Wehiva does, that's something that can give you a leg up, and it can kind of streamline your pathway to getting where you want to ultimately get there as well. So, man, I'm super excited for him. Well-deserved honor, and I'm pumped to follow his career moving forward. I really am.
Absolutely. And I mean, I think it's he's an ambassador for the university, and that's what it's always cool to have this hardware and have these moments. But as you guys mentioned, like I don't think you could have put a better role model or representative out there for the University of Arkansas. And I think also it helps from a lot of standpoints. Like you said, the pro teams look at that and they think that's attractive. They're into that. So they're going to certainly hold him in high regard. Your competitors in college baseball look at that and they're like, man, we want to have a player like that. Kids in the state of Arkansas look at that and they say, man, we want to be that. Kids from around the country, kids in Hawaii, of course, no doubt, look at Wehiva Aloy and say, man, I want to be like that. And so to have someone of that stature, of that magnitude, be wearing the hog on front of them, it's a big deal, man. And I just remember being a junior in high school and watching Benintendi and like how cool that was. Like there was not a cooler person in the world in 2015 than Andrew Benintendi, to me at least. And obviously, I'm a little bit biased, but like there's a lot of like these kind of players are people that you remember forever. Like Kevin Kopps, my nephews, I was always trying to get my nephews into baseball, and they never really did until Kevin Kopps came around. And then all of a sudden, my nephew's trying to pitch exactly like him, have the same mannerisms. And so it's like, you don't need a player like this every year. But I think it's cool that Arkansas consistently has guys in this mix. I mean, you had a finalist last year in Hagen Smith. These are players that have way bigger impact than I think we even realize.
Yeah, and also to your point, too, about the coolness factor, which maybe I'm over getting crazy with it. But, talking about the humility that he has, talking about his personality and everything. But yet the dude looks awesome when he's got those Viper sunglasses on with his Hawaiian lei with a bat, like getting pictures taken. It's like if I didn't know Aloy and I just saw that picture back, oh, this guy's a tool, like just because it comes across it. But it's a very tough thing to have happen where you're extremely cool, but extremely humble and still really good. Like it's just all of it mixed together, which is just awesome. But when this was actually a video that the university posted dealing with Aloy when he's being interviewed and winning it. And, he talks a little bit about Arkansas. And I know Razorback fans get pretty hyped when they hear stuff like this.
What does it mean to you bring in this award to Arkansas, and how much this program has meant to you in your career?
Yeah, this program meant a lot to me. Took a chance and they just felt like family when I stepped on campus. So it's truly a blessing. My teammates, love them to death, and coaches as well.
What's your last message to Arkansas baseball?
I love you, Arkansas.
Like, just awesome. Like, I mean, just cool stuff like that. Just, I love you, Arkansas. So, that's stuff that gets you hyped.
We probably need to add that to the soundboard now.
Oh,
Oh,
It's on the word. I love you,
Good.
Arkansas.
yeah, that's
Y'all see the
that's
video of
good
him
stuff.
being like, oh yeah, he started off. He said because they asked him about Arkansas being back, and he said, yeah, they will be back next year. And then he said, yeah, we will be back. And I was like, because you got to consider yourself a we, even though we know, buddy, you're not going to be on the team. You're still a we. You still, when you refer to the pig, it is a we.
Well, I laughed because I thought about I wasn't going to do it because then people would get freaked out. But I thought about just clipping that final part. Cut out the first and then just be like, oh, we'll be back next year. But he's coming back. Watch out. He's giving up millions. To come back to Arkansas because he loves the hog. But, that first part, if he would have said both times, like, oh, we'll be back next year and we'll do this, we'll do that. We all know he still wouldn't be back, but it would be fun to play the game of like, oh man, watch out. The message boards, Hogville and everything, they start freaking out and thinking that he's coming back. But folks, he's going to the MLB draft. Plain and simple. So,
John, who's going to step up in your absence and host the radio interview with Charles Davalon, where Charles Davalon does his whole routine where he's like, yeah, honestly, I love Fayetteville. I could see myself doing another year. It's like obligatory to get all that leverage you can. I mean, Connor Noland, Hunter Holland, Walker Martin. Like, I just remember so many of these guys that did that type of tour to be like, I really could play at Arkansas next year. Don't forget. And then, of course, they don't. But I feel like Charles Davalon, it's only a matter of time before we get something like that from Davalon.
Yeah. Well, I got to get him on. Yeah. For those who don't know what Andrew's referencing, when I was at the Buzz, I had Hunter Holland and Walker Martin both on my show, which Hunter Holland obviously played at Arkansas. He was a great pitcher. Walker Martin was coming out of high school and was the most highly regarded players. Both of them, I'm not saying they're wrong in this, but they used a little bit of coming on my show as leverage, being like, I could return next year. I could go to Arkansas and all that. Both of them ended up leaving. My favorite thing, though, was Walker Martin saying, I wouldn't have come, I wouldn't have not a dime less than what I got, or else I would have been in Arkansas. I'm like, a dime? Say like 100,000, like something like that, maybe. But a dime, that's pushing it a little bit. But yeah, who knows? Well, we're on the watch right now when it comes to players who have decisions to make with Razorback baseball. As I know, not only that, but transfer portal stuff and all that. I know Bombastic's going to be on top of it all. But I did want to use this as part of the Alumni Hall question of the day, presented by our friends over at Alumni Hall. Number one Razorback shopping experience. You need Razorback gear. There's only one place. It's Alumni Hall. It is the greatest, the best place. They have everything. And if they don't have it, it doesn't exist. That's how awesome it is. You can go and get all of your Razorback apparel, the nicest stuff when it comes to polo shirts, jerseys, hats, everything, by going to InsideArkansas.com/Alumni Hall, or you can visit them in store at 3417 North College Avenue and use that code HOGSBY20 for 20% off your purchase. Since Arkansas's had so many Golden Spikes Awards winners in the past 10 years, 3 of them to be exact, this is not about who is best or anything, just personally. Like, who was your favorite among those 3? Between Andrew Benintendi in 2015, Kevin Kopps in 2021, and now Wehiva Aloy this year. Do you guys have a particular one that, I mean, all of them are great, but a favorite maybe that you'll always have a special place in your heart for?
It's Kopps for me, man. That was the year that I was fortunate enough to cover the team until Andrew came and saved me. It's him for sure. And honestly, so much about that story would have resonated anyway, but I'll just never forget when they were down there in Arlington, at the beginning of the year, and I had the game thread on Hog Sports rolling, and I followed the team and everything like that, knew it all, but just the amount of people that were like, oh my God, we're calling the cops, the very first game. It's like, Jesus Christ, throw in the towel already, Dave. Like, it was just unbelievable. And for him, just out of freaking nowhere to do what he did was so cool. So many great memories that came from that. It's an easy answer for me. No disrespect to either of the other guys. They were tremendous and awesome to follow, but it's got to be Kopps for me.
So I think if I'm going to power rank them, I think I would go Kopps, Benintendi, Aloy. And the reason Aloy is third is, one, because, again, it's the least surprising of the 3. Like, we went into this year having a pretty good idea that Wehiva Aloy was going to be good at baseball. Like, this is not stunning. Benintendi, I thought there was a lot of excitement for him, but like that year kind of like, again, came out of nowhere. It kind of, even in the middle of the year, him and Kopps both, they went on like a tear where it was like, it kind of happened before we realized it was happening. But that was awesome as well. And I think Benintendi was cool because the rest of that team just was not a prime team in college baseball. You could say the same for Kevin Kopps. because that team was super, super dependent on him. They would have at least been like a tournament team competing had he not been on the team. They still would have been competent. That Benintendi team, I really don't think would have even made the NCAA tournament without him. But I think Kops, for kind of all of the reasons, one, the surprise of it, how good the season was. I mean, you can make a case of the three, it's the best one, and just how dependent that team was on him and what he meant to the fan base and how everyone kind of rallied behind him. I think Kops is the answer for me. And again, just watching my nephews fall in love with Arkansas baseball because of Kevin Kops, that'll always kind of hold a special place in my heart. And me and Kevin Kops are boys. So,
well, it's funny because I agree with you guys for Kevin Kops. I don't know if it was simply because, actually, I do know. I know why it is for me. It's that feeling that I remember having whenever that Heat Wave song played and whenever Arkansas had a lead where they won 10. I know they didn't go to the World Series, but they won 10 SEC series, which has only been done one other time. I know that they didn't have like the best record of all time. It's not like they went 30-0, but the reason that they were even able to do that was because of Kevin Kops. It's like, hey, just get there to that seventh inning with a lead and it's over. And that was with the Heat Waves, with the number one ranking pretty much the entire year, everything surrounding it and his personality and everything was just so cool because you knew as soon as he came into the game, it was something magic. You were about to witness greatness. And, with these guys like Benintendi and Aloy, also great players, but it was kind of like, okay, they come up to bat. Hey, this could end up in a pop out. They could end up with something. But with Tops, you're like, we know how this is going to go. So I agree with you. I think it's funny because the audience overwhelmingly agrees with this too. Kevin Kops at 64% saying he's their favorite. Benintendi at 19.5%, Aloy at 17.5%. So pretty close. But how funny is it that of those three players, the one guy that actually wasn't part of that team that made the College World Series is everyone's favorite. All the other two guys in that year did make the College World Series. So,
dude, it was just a different level of dominance with Kops. Like I always go back to those game threads or the stories that I would write, and it would be a weekend, and it'd be like his second appearance of the weekend, and he would go 3 innings, and he'd get the save or whatever, and he'd have 6 strikeouts and give up 2 hits and no runs, and people would be like, is he wearing down? Like I don't know, man. Like they actually made some contact on him. This is crazy. That's how good he was. Like you were surprised when he didn't strike somebody out. It didn't matter who the hell it was, much less if he gave up a hit. Heaven forbid he gave up a run. And then people were like, this is crazy. We got to shut him down. Like inject the beet juice into his veins or whatever we got to do here. But it was just a different level of good from that man the entire year. And it was a lot of fun to cover.
I think another thing that makes the Kops thing special is there's not really anything you can compare it to. Like there's probably won't be any player that obviously follows that career arc of 6 years of college, redshirting, Tommy John, sucking in 2020, like all of the things. Like obviously that's such a unique thing, but also like not to say that there's a ton of Wehiva Aloys growing on trees, but like big projectable shortstops are kind of the new wave. Hell, I would say Wehiva is just a souped up version of a shortstop Arkansas had 3 years ago in Jalen Battles. You know what I mean? Like it's like that type of archetype is not some like thing we've never seen before. And Curtis, you talked about the mental, how we like compartmentalize it. Because normally you see a pitcher throw 5-6 innings and you're trying to think, okay, this guy threw 100 pitches. Now this guy's throwing 100 pitches. What does that mean? With Kops, there was no like comparison. You had to throw everything you knew about pitching, roles, and just how much a guy can be used, all that out the window. And Benintendi and Aloy, I just don't think it's like that. Of course, special, unique players, but like, an outfielder hitting 20 whatever home runs and, a shortstop being like Wehiva Aloy, not necessarily the craziest thing that we'll never see again. Kops, I feel pretty confident we will never see anything like that again. And just the way it played out and his career, I mean, having a guy that was a 5-year journeyman, basically in college baseball, for him to become the most dominant player in the sport, it really would be like if Ben Bybee came back next year and was just the best pitcher in college baseball. It'd be like, whoa, where the hell did that come from?
Yeah, no, that's a great point too. Because what was he like 20? I think Kops was 25. I don't know if he actually was 25 years old, but yeah,
he was. I think he was like maybe when he left Arkansas, he was 25.
Yeah. So again, it was just everything. Every time that you have somebody that has the type of season that they do to win the Golden Spikes, there is an element of a little surprise just because it's how difficult it is to get there. But yeah, the Kops thing was just I mean, I don't even think before the season started, anyone wasn't even looking at, oh, this guy could be a part of the team. It's like, no, it wasn't even a
He
thought
wasn't on the
process.
midseason watch list. They do
Yeah.
a midseason watch list of like 50 guys, and Cops was not on it, and then won the award.
Yeah. Just craziness. So we'll continue to discuss that, but I do want to talk about something else that happened over the weekend in college baseball that has got everybody talking. We'll do that here in a second, but first got to tell you about our friends over at Freedom Boat Club of Arkansas. We know that summer is officially here. If you don't know it, go outside. You can feel it because the weather is definitely getting to that summer vibe here in Arkansas. And when it gets a little bit warm, you want to spend it on a body of water, especially the lakes here in Arkansas. Well, you got to have a boat. And a lot of you don't have a boat. I don't have a boat. We don't have a boat, but you want to have access to a boat. Freedom Boat Club of Arkansas has you covered because they give you the access to those boats without the commitment, where it fits your lifestyle, fun, flexible, and stress-free. They got 3 different locations in Arkansas, whether you prefer Greers Ferry Lake, as well as Lake Hamilton down there in Hot Springs, or even a day on the river in Little Rock. Freedom Boat Club of Arkansas will help make your summer in the natural state the best one yet. So check out their website at www.freedomboatclubar.com. That's freedomboatclubar.com to learn more about the benefits of joining the club and get out there and enjoy your summer here in Arkansas. All right, guys, I know that we talked last week. Right, I ain't watching the freaking College World Series. I'm not watching the finals. I want to see this crap. Arkansas's not in it. I'm out. And I don't want to see this crap. Well, LSU ended up winning. Big whoop. Who cares? But the big story was the ejection in Game 2 to Coastal Carolina's head coach, Kevin Schnall. Now, I want to play, we can't play actually the video of what happened, but I will play the press conference and his response to it afterwards. I want y'all's thoughts on it, though, because we kind of talked about it in the group text. Fair, foul, like what happened? What went on here? What was just your reaction to seeing the coach of Coastal Carolina in Game 2 of the College World Series, inning 1, get ejected as well as his first base coach?
That was mayhem, dude. My favorite part about it all was the other ump trying to walk in there, and then he tripped over the guy's foot and like did the big rollover. It reminded me of when Pedro Martinez took old boy out. You guys remember that?
Yes.
But he just hit the roll and then got back up and was like, I didn't like it. Listen, I get it. I know there's some rules. You can't argue balls and strikes. If you get warned, you do it again, you get tossed. I understand all that, but I really agree with what Coach said, and I see the presser in the queue there, so I'm sure we'll listen to it about it's, this is the College World Series. It's an elimination game for his team. It's the first inning, and there's 25,000 people there. You've got to be able to read the room a little bit and feel it and have some thick skin as an umpire and a little bit of tolerance on some things. It would have been one thing, in my opinion, if after the warning, if he was dropping, F-bombs at him, or if he ran out there and got right in his face or whatever. He told him he got 3 wrong, and he did. But come on, man. I think it's a quick hook. This is not an ump show. This is not about you, although it's your job to maintain the rules and everything. You just got to have better awareness for the situation. And as it turns out, this is not an isolated incident with this particular umpire. I know we had the big controversial one with Tennessee a year or 2 ago. So it's kind of a recurring theme with this particular dude. I wasn't happy about it. Didn't like that it took away from the story of a game for LSU or for Coastal Carolina there, frankly. And then the first base coach getting tossed, I just laughed at. I just kind of laughed at that one.
Yeah. So he ended up ejecting 2 in the same. I'm being dead serious right now. I did not watch either. I didn't watch a single inning of the final series. Obviously, I know who won. I didn't. I was on Twitter. He ejected the head coach and first base coach at the same time, or just like one after another.
Within like 90 seconds of each other. Like he tossed the head coach, and the head coach came out there to get his money's worth. And then the other ump falls down or whatever, but they were just kind of standing there on the first baseline, the umps, and the first base coach was behind him. He mouthed something. I don't know what he said. And then immediately gave him the hook, like right there in the aftermath of it all. So
gotcha. The general vibe I got from the internet and from just people that I heard talk about it was that it was an easy, quick ejection, and that like it was like one of those like you can probably make a case for why he should have gotten ejected, but the moment has to matter. It's kind of like when you call a foul in the last 10 seconds of a basketball game, and it's like, yes, that's a foul, but are you really making that call right then? I think that's always a slippery slope, because that's always like, are the rules or no? You know what I mean? And so it's like I always am kind of leaning on the side of like coaches need to know not that I like ejections, not that I think I think it should be. I think you should be able to dog cuss an ump without getting ejected, but like I think coaches also need to know like what, where that line is. But I think it's always crazy. I mean, was it the first or second inning of an elimination game of the finals? Like,
man.
Yeah, that's tough. So I hate it for him. I love that coach. We've played clips of his before. We're going to play another one here. He's an awesome coach who's done a great job. And so I hate that he wasn't able to coach the final game of the year.
Well, you mentioned the example of fouling at the end of a game, and you're just like, oh, you're just not going to get that call, which I agree. And that's the thing is like they say, oh, warnings and all this stuff. It was the first inning. Like I could understand if it was inning 6 and it had been going on and it just got okay, enough. Like it's over. Like we got to make a move here. You're out of here. It was the first inning. Like how much warning and leeway can you really have with a coach in the first inning? Like how much are you just sitting there being like, how many times you say, oh, I've been telling you for the past 5 seconds, you better
exactly.
stop. Like that was my thing is like, again, later in the game, whatever, we can have that discussion, but you cannot sit there and tell me that in the first inning, there was just so much being thrown at that umpire and being said about that umpire and everything that warranted 2 ejections in literally an elimination game of the College World Series finals. There's just nothing you can tell me about that.
There almost needs to be like unless obviously if there's like, certain terminology thrown, certain, words that can cross the line in one sentence or whatever. But if you're going to eject someone off of words alone, I feel like there almost has to be that from the ump where he's like, hey, if you keep pushing it, you're going to get tossed. Like there almost has to be that not official warning, but like hey, you're approaching the line. And then if the coach keeps going, then you eject him. Cool. And maybe that's what happened. But I feel like you almost have to spell it out to that coach that like, hey, I really am thinking about ejecting you. Because there are some umps that will let you sit there and talk to them for 10 minutes. You know what I mean? And so some that won't let you talk for 20 seconds. It's just tough to in that moment for it to go down that way.
Yeah, John, I think you brought up a good point there. Like it's not like they had been chirping him the entire game and he finally had enough. Yeah. First inning, man. And to me, it kind of seems like if he's pissed about the balls and strikes or whatever, he says something, you give him the warning and then you can tell he's getting heated. Me as a home plate umpire at that point, I kind of put my hands up and I'd be like, hey, bring it in. Like I would go have a conversation with him and lay that out there to him. And he kind of, and I know the coach got ticked off about it, like kind of shoot him off or whatever, and then chucked him. But I would meet him in the middle and I would say, hey, I hear you. I get it. Here's where I'm coming from. Understand you've been warned and understand what happens after that. But like be men and come together and have that conversation. But just tossing him so quick, that's some wild behavior, man.
Because what was it? The guy that I always think about you got to give us a shot. You got to give us a shot. Like the umpire back and forth where I think someone even put it greatly too, where it just seems like umpires, at least in this particular stance, it's like they don't know how to just diffuse a situation. It's more of just, done. It's like, okay, come on. Like you got to know how to diffuse it.
Yes. Could have been de-escalated so easily.
Yeah. So, well, this is somewhat of a long video, but we'll play it and we'll go through it. But this was Kevin Schnall, the coach of Coastal Carolina, which I'm glad that he did a press conference because I was kind of nervous that they were going to be like, no, you can't even talk to the press.
We can't coach next year. You saw that?
Yeah, exactly. But here's what he felt like in his response and what was his viewpoint of the ejection itself in yesterday's game.
There's 25,000 people there, and I vaguely hear a warning issued. As the head coach, I was an assistant for 24 years, and as an assistant, you're almost treated like a second level citizen, and you can't say a word. Now, as a head coach, I think it is your right to get an explanation of why we got warned. And I'm 48 years old. I shouldn't get shooed by another grown man, right? So when I come out to ask what the warning is, a grown man shooed me. So at that point, I can now hear him say, it was a warning issued for arguing balls and strikes. And at that point, I said, because you missed 3. At that point, ejected. If that warrants an ejection, I'm the first one to stand here like a man and apologize. 2 words that define our program are own it And what does that mean is you have to own everything that you do without blame, without defending yourself, without excuses. If you guys watch the video, there was a guy that came in extremely aggressively, tripped over Campos's foot, embarrassed in front of 25,000, immediately goes 2-game suspension and said, bumping the umpire. Immediately does that. There was no bump. He was embarrassed. I shouldn't be held accountable for a grown man's athleticism. They'll retract it, though, because now it's excessive. And the reason why it's excessive, because I was trying to say, I didn't bump him. It is what it is. But if that warranted an ejection, man, there'd be a lot of ejections.
So that's pretty much the gist of it. But yeah, I mean, I kind of, the part about I'm not being responsible for another man's athleticism. It's like, because he just tripped and fell and he got 2-game suspension. So very, very intense words. But again, not surprising this stance that he took. And that's in that game, in that situation, knowing that his team was facing elimination. I hate it for him.
Yeah. I got to say, I don't know if I love saying, like, giving the whole speech about 2 things we do here is we own it and we don't make excuses and we don't whatever. And he does proceed to not own it, make a lot of excuses. Now, I agree I'm on his side, big picture, but I don't know. The video made me a little bit less on his side, I think.
What did he not own?
Just like, I feel like, he disagrees with the ejection. He disagrees with, the idea that he needed to be ejected from the game, and that he did. He kind of referenced the warning. He's like, I heard a vague warning or whatever, which makes me think that he did kind of get warned some way, in one way or another. I just I feel like if you're going to do the thing where you're like, oh yeah, we own it, we take accountability, we don't make excuses, you probably just have to leave it at that and just be like, listen, I let my emotions get the best of me. I didn't agree with the decision, but we move on.
Well, I think that it's also with like him explaining it and everything. I think everything's always a recruiting pitch in a way. It's like, we have this thing called own it and everything. But if I'm him too, it's kind of like he's been coaching baseball a long time. And I'm just assuming here, he's been coaching baseball a long time. And I'm sure he knows what the line that he can cross and has crossed. And there's probably been times where he's done a lot worse than that and not gotten ejected. That's what it came across to me of like, hey, if I do something where I know the line I cross and I get ejected, then I own that. But I did not cross that line. I have done a lot worse than that, and I didn't even get close to getting ejected. That's the take I got from that. Is more of, I've never experienced anything like this before, and if I did something, I know what it looks like, and this is not one of those cases where it looks like an ejection. That's how I took it, at least.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, he said if that warrants an ejection, then he'll be the first person to stand there as a man and apologize. So,
I mean, I don't know. It was it's a thing that I wish there was. I know the rules that get thrown around, and people are like, "Oh, well, the NCAA, I guess, was like saying like, this was the rule, and this is that." It's just the moment, the moment. First inning, College World Series Finals, elimination game, just came across really weird that this was the time to ring somebody up. But either way, I don't know if that had any impact on if the game was won or lost, but it certainly didn't help. And Coastal gave it a run for their money, but still, LSU goes on to win. But either way,
I see a lot of umpires in our chat here, which is interesting to me. Imagine DVH being in that situation and how you guys would have felt about that.
Yeah.
I think there's also room for both parties to be wrong. You know what I mean? Like, I think there's it doesn't have to be one side or the other where it's like, I think the umpire could have a very short leash and a very short fuse that didn't need to jump that far. And we all agreed that, like, ejecting someone in the first inning, it needs to be pretty egregious. But it does seem like there was some type of warning issue that was ignored and then kept going. And so it's like, I think there's probably wrongdoing on both sides. And it just kind of sucks that it played out in game 2 of the national championship game. But it also, again, the stage is really the issue here. Because if this were happening in any random series, I don't even think anybody would really be like super mad at the ump or the coach. But the fact that it happened in the title series, which does matter.
I'll tell you what, we'll get to some of these umpires that are in the chat and doing a little vibe check of it, presented by our friends over at Basis Health, where they are changing the way that healthcare is delivered by providing mobile medical visits to the comfort of your very own home, where a doctor will come to your home for urgent care, primary care, IV hydration, and so much more. It's Basis Health. They're here for you when and where you need them the most. You can learn more at basishealth.org or check up that QR code there at the top right corner of your screen. All right, so a few of your chats in here. Like this, like Ben Fincham just says, I think the only correct take is the ump was soft and didn't need to eject him, but Schnall has to keep his cool and understand the situation. Emotions got to him, sadly. So
I mean, I get it. I agree. Like he probably should have, just zipped his lips and been a good little boy and walked back in the dugout. But it's not like he went on this tirade and was cursing him out and throwing the fake smoke grenades over the dugout. Like he didn't put on this big spectacle about it. So that's kind of where I get lost on the, dual blame part of this personally. Yeah. If he was like, hey, you MF-er, you stupid SOB, whatever, then I would have been like, more like, yeah, man, like you knew you were getting to the line there, whatever. Like, should he have tried to get the last word in there? Probably not. But I don't know, man.
I can't remember who it was that we were talking about a similar situation a few weeks ago, because someone essentially got ejected for arguing balls and strikes, which is always the weird one, because as a coach, you're really not supposed to do it. Now, obviously, people do it every single game, but as an umpire, you are well within your rights to not listen to anyone trying to argue balls and strikes. Like you really don't have to tolerate it at all. Now, obviously, you'd be insane if you ejected someone the first time they said something about balls and strikes. Some umpires are way more lenient on that than others. And so I think when you add in that it was about balls and strikes, right away when he starts saying something, you're kind of like breaking a rule, an unwritten rule there. And so then once you get the warning, and then it's like, all right, hey, for real, like we can't keep arguing balls and strikes. And by the way, it seems by every account in the world that the balls and strikes were called incorrectly. Like, I don't think anybody's disagreeing with that. The calls were bad. And I think Schnall makes a good point that the umpire is embarrassed. That's why the umpire is as salty as he is, because he knows he messed up some calls. He's getting annoyed by how people don't like it. And so I think that's another factor of this too, is like, you're really not supposed to be arguing at all. And so once you blow through a warning while you're arguing balls and strikes, which you're not supposed to do in the first place, I don't agree with the ejection. I think you should have to, like you said, kick dirt on someone to eject. But I think that's where it's like the middle ground there.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's also the finality of it too, because this is just not in baseball. This is in all sports. It could be in basketball or anything, but it's like, coaches will work the umps or work the officials a little bit. And then if they feel like they get ejected, there's probably been times where they all felt this way. And then there's times where they're probably look back and like, man, I don't know how that guy didn't eject me because of the stuff I've said. So it's just, there's warnings, there's whatever penalties in football, whatever you want to call it, but it's just the finality of an ejection. It's just like, okay, well, that's it. Like there's nothing, you can't go back. You can't, chill out. They can't change anything. If something goes, if you did work the officials and suddenly they start calling it a little bit easier, like there's just nothing there. It's just finality. You got to go and watch your team play in the College World Series finals in your dugout, or at least, away from your dugout. So I think it was the finality of it all too that was frustrating. Because as a head coach, I mean, I haven't been a coach, but I'd be like, really? At this point? Like I can't even be out here.
In basketball, you don't really get ejected unless you want to get ejected in basketball. Mm-hmm. Like if you're getting ejected in basketball, it's because you've gotten that warning. You've been, going back and forth with the ref, and you've made that decision. And we've seen Musk make that decision 1,000 times. We've seen Cal make that decision. Like, I think that's the big difference in baseball is like you get coaches that get ejected and don't see it coming. Because in most sports, that doesn't really happen.
Yeah. Also, to shout out to Quinn for super chat. Appreciate it. Goes, LSU fans were mad at Coastal because they said they're classless, very rich coming from that fan base. So I think LSU fans are just mad in general. It doesn't matter who it's going to be. I don't know why anybody would say Coastal. I didn't see anything specific of Coastal doing anything fans-wise, saying they were classless, but
they would have to have fans to be classless, and I do not believe Coastal has fans. Maybe they were saying that the players being like, we don't admire LSU, were saying they didn't have anything they liked about LSU. Maybe they thought that was classless, which I think that was just an honest assessment of the situation.
Yeah,
I really don't think they did that. I think they really tried to think about it, and they were like, I actually don't like anything
about that. I mean, what are you supposed to say,
Yeah.
You're getting ready to you're going to a battle to the death with these guys in 24 hours, you know?
Love their grit, love their determination.
Yeah. And also too, it's like, I mean, we want honest opinions when they hear from me, when the media gets to hear from players and everything like that. And you just got to know intent. I don't think this team in Coastal Carolina is kind of known for like, yeah, they're going to talk some trash about LSU and they're going to be like, they're nobodies. They're Coastal Carolina, for crying out loud. Like they had to go down and win the regional in somebody else's arena. It's not like they've just been flying high and they're the best team around.
It's not true.
What do you mean?
They hosted a regional.
Oh,
They were regional hosts. They had to go to Auburn for a super, but they were they weren't like just some random team out of nowhere.
Well, no, I'm saying like they weren't like a team that everyone was looking at as like, oh, this is one of the favorites to win it all. Because that's usually the behavior of some teams that have been, highly successful. They've won a bunch of games and all of that. Like I never viewed them as this team. It's like, oh, they're just going to walk in thinking that they're going to own everybody. I mean, listen, they had a great run and they were doing some really good things there too. So let's see a few chats here too. Ty says, this is the problem with baseball. So many unwritten rules. How about we just write them down? LOL.
This one cracked me up. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Although I guess like what unwritten rule is it that was broken here?
I don't know if there's any specific unwritten rule.
Umpires where he stands on ejections. I guess that's the unwritten rule of
Well, yeah, just the gray area, that comes with it. But
yeah, I mean that's how I took it too. So, let's see. We also have some other topics being discussed. Like Quinn in the chat, appreciate it. He goes, Curtis. Never said Cal wasn't good. You know my thoughts on Cal. We talked about it in person. Also, that fan that tried taking a shot at me after you responded back, that fan can go F himself.
Quinn has joined my lovely conversations with Kentucky fans this morning who are just distraught over an accurate tweet about John Calipari's NCAA tournament winning percentage. And but they'll at whatever cost, even if it usually involves dunking on themselves, they're going to do whatever they can to discredit him. Quinn chimed in. He was a hater. He was a Cal hater in this sense, only a little bit. He just said he thought he should have more than one title. And maybe he should, maybe he shouldn't. But if that's the barometer for being a good coach or not, that's where I think a lot of people lose me. And like Cal's success, it just gets weaponized against him so much in an indirect proportion to the standard of 99% of other coaches throughout the country. And it's a small list of guys who have multiple national championships, and that's what is used by people to determine that John Calipari is not a good basketball coach and that he sucks and he's overrated and all this. And there are just a lot of coaches out there who don't have 59 NCAA tournament wins, who don't have a single national championship. And when I see a guy who's top 5 all time in March Madness wins, top 10 all time in wins as a college basketball head coach who's reached the pinnacle of his sport, I just have a hard time getting on board with calling him a dog shit coach.
Yeah.
I can't get there. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And if that means that our standards aren't as lofty as Kentucky's, who has one national championship since the turn of the century, which Cal delivered them, then so be it, I guess.
It's really tough to start a negative stance against a coach with he only has 59 NCAA tournament wins and only one national title. Like I don't, and I've heard that a lot, about the only one championship thing. Like imagine if we did that for quarterbacks. We were like, well, I mean, Drew Brees, he was good, but only one Super Bowl. Peyton Manning won that second one, when he was like 58 years old with the Broncos, but he really only has one Super Bowl as a starting quarterback. Imagine if we were like, yeah, but only one, Ben Roethlisberger, he's only got 2, or does he have 3? I don't know. Maybe he has 3. But it's like obviously there's a difference between 1 and 2. There's a difference between 2 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
But I've kind of always been a proponent of this, that it's like when a coach, like if Cal were to win a second championship next year or the year after, it's not like he reached a new level as a coach. It just played out that way. And now he has a second ring. It's not like he was a worse coach 8 years ago than he is now. It's just kind of the way it plays out. And so I think it's so funny that we put so much stock into like specific things. And I understand why. Like championships matter in sports. We count them for a reason. But the idea that like you really view the coach through a completely different lens. If, a shot goes in in that Aaron Harrison, NCAA that championship game
Right.
they were in. It's like, I don't know if I'd feel that much differently about Cal.
Well, I tell you what, I want to continue to discuss this because I think it's an interesting topic too, especially doing Cal in comparison to other coaches. But I want to also remind everybody that we're brought to you by our friends over at Radiant Elements Medical Spa, where they have that deep tissue sports massage with infrared sauna to help you bounce back faster. Especially been dealing with Kentucky fans on social media. You could probably use some relaxation and getting back to a level of sanity. That's something that Radiant Elements Medical Spa can really help you out with, and they can make you feel like a winner each and every time you leave their location. Some of the best services that you'll ever have when it comes to that self-care. It's not soft for anybody out there. It's great. It's what the winners do. So if you're looking for a great gift for your significant other, they do those as well. They have different services when it comes to lengths of massages, how deep tissue can help you out there too. And you can check them out today at the Weddington Plaza, or you can book an appointment online using that QR code right there at the top right corner of your screen. You get 15% off your first service. It's worth it, 100% worth it. And one of the cool things is that here soon, we'll give you details on it. We're going to be doing a members only stream here on YouTube with Inside Arkansas if you're a member, and we're going to be giving away a free massage to Radiant Elements Medical Spa. We'll keep you updated on that, but really appreciate their partnership and everything that they have going on with us here at Inside Arkansas with Radiant Elements Medical Spa. Okay, so you brought up the point of the titles in comparison and with coaches and everything like that. And that's the funny thing, because 59 wins, it's basically 2 full college basketball seasons worth of wins in the NCAA tournament. Not 59 games played, 59 wins. So that speaks for itself. But I mean, there's a lot of coaches, I feel like, that have won national championships that aren't exactly good coaches. Like, I don't look at Kevin Ollie as somebody's like, man, just incredible coach. If you want to put the football side of things, Gene Chizik, Larry Coker. I mean, are these guys that are next level coaches? No. I think you have to look at the full body of work. And that's something I think a lot of people go missing, where somebody like Cal, anybody that's like, yeah, well, he's terrible, whatever, because he only has one title. Only has one title? I mean, I wonder if those same Kentucky fans feel the same way about like a Nolan Richardson, for instance. Like, Nolan Richardson's only got one title. I mean, is he trash? Is he garbage? Is he terrible? And it's like, no one views him that way, but it's because it's the Cal effect. It's John Calipari. He had all this money and all these players and all these draft picks and only have one title. Sheesh. Like, how many? I just don't think you can really justify saying, well, put Coach A into that situation or Coach B into that situation and they win multiple titles. Like, I just don't see that as a guaranteed thing. And I think sometimes fans from other fan bases and everything can lose that a little bit, where they're so obsessed with that one thing, where it's like, no, you got to look at the whole body of work. And 59 NCAA tournament wins, or 58, whichever it is, as well as everything else on top of that, plus a title. It'd be different if he never won a title, but plus a title. I don't really understand what you're arguing at this point.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where I'm at, man. Seeing the success. I mean, he's won 72% of his NCAA tournament games. It's a ridiculous percentage. I mean, it really is. That's incredibly hard to do. For me, the fact that he only has one title, it just kind of shows me how damn hard it is to win one. As opposed to he's a bad coach because he doesn't have more than that. I mean, I can't really say that given his track record and everything that he's accomplished there. So, whatever. I mean, people can feel however they want to feel about it, and that's fine. And a lot of people argue that, well, it's because of the amount of talent that he had that it's crazy that he won one more. Does he not get credit for getting said talent? There are a lot of coaches who just didn't have a chance in hell of building the type of rosters that he did, but there's also something to be said for, and this has kind of been the debate with Cal all along. He's done it differently. I mean, he was the innovator. He was the one and done guy before one and done was a thing. And it's always that youth and talent versus veteran experience. And when you get to that stage in March, that stuff kind of evens out, man. It does. And paid off for him once, and maybe sometimes it didn't, or maybe sometimes another team played a better game. And I don't know that I would really want to take away from the teams that beat Cal in a Final Four or a national title game or whatever by saying, well, it's just because Cal sucks that they won it. Like, I think that would be disingenuous. So hell, if Cal had won 2 or 3 titles by now, he'd be up there in the conversation as one of the top 2 or 3 coaches of all time. Instead, maybe he's just in the conversation of top 10 or something. You know what I mean? But I'm happy with it. Like, I just don't see it as an indictment personally.
Yeah, and like I said, there's a difference between 1 and 2. There's a difference between 2 and 3. And hey, if Cal gets that second one, then yeah, maybe he does enter, like you said, he goes from that top 10 to maybe top 5 or whatever. And so that's all fine and dandy, but it is crazy how the big picture lens is the same. I mean, Tom Izzo's another guy. You could do the same thing. He has one title, right? You could look at it and say, well, Tom Izzo, you probably should have had 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever. And well, Billy Donovan won those back to back. He probably should have won 3 or 4. Dan Hurley, he's got 2. He should probably have 6 or whatever. It's like you could do that with a lot of coaches. But what that implies is that winning a national title is just something that should happen all the time. And there's freaking 350 teams. Like, it's not all these teams are going to win the title every year. There's teams every single year that are championship level squads that don't win the title. In basketball, especially, that happens every single year. And then in baseball, of course, it happens all the time. And so I guess it's just one of those things that we don't know how to process that as sports fans. When there's a team that was good enough to win a title that did not win a title, we automatically assume, well, that's a knock on the coach, that the team that had the pieces to do it didn't do it. But like you said, so does the coach get no credit for building those pieces? And I specifically think in basketball, a sport where if you have the best team, you are just so much not guaranteed to win the title. In football, in college football, where obviously coaches are a little bit more in control of everything, I can see that being a lot more of a knock. You know what I mean? Like if, like Les Miles won 1 title at LSU, that actually is kind of a knock because it's like they had the best team probably 3 or 4 times, and the best team in football wins 95% of the time. The best team does not win in basketball even half the time, I would say.
Yeah, especially during an era where it was like, hey, there's only 2 teams in the college championship. Like they just get selected, so if you're one of those teams, it makes it a lot less games that you could slip up in. But I was just looking at guys that the college basketball coaches with multiple national championships, and it's not a very long list, needless to say. John Wooden won 10. I don't think anyone's going to catch him on that one. But Coach K won 5. Adolph Rupp, maybe that's why they're all pissed off at Kentucky, because Adolph Rupp won 4 back when he was going up against plumbers and engineering students.
Yeah, the game
when there were only
since
5 teams that could win it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, it's like, you were getting all these great players. It's like, I don't even think we, I know it's history and all that stuff, but come on, let's look at it in a realistic expectation, because, Phil Wolpert at San Francisco won 2. Are we going to start counting him? Like, who's that? I don't even know. So, point is that like Dean Smith only won 2. Like, how many? That dude coached for 30 years in North Carolina, had incredible teams. He only won 2. Bill Self just now got his second one a couple years ago. He's been at Kansas for 20 plus years. It's like, was everybody, maybe they were. Everybody looking at Bill Self when he had that just one, and he's like, this guy sucks. But then that year they finally won it all. He's like, okay, now he's great. And it's like, this makes no sense to me to just approach it. But my thing is, and I get in this argument with my buddy Devin about Tom Brady because he hates Tom Brady and refuses to say he's the GOAT. But I'm like, when Tom Brady was playing, is there anything he can do to change your mind and say that he's the greatest? And Devin was like, no. So I'm like, okay. It's the same thing with Cal. Is there anything John Calipari can do in his years here at Arkansas that will change your mind on saying he's a great, phenomenal, best coach? And more often than not, people are probably going to be like, no. Like Kentucky fans will be like, if he wins 5 in a row, it's like, oh, okay. Yeah, that's easy. So you're just never going to change people's minds on that. Also, by the way, real quick, John Calipari ranks 5th all time in NCAA tournament wins ever. 5th.
And if he makes another Sweet 16, he'll be 4th next year. So he'll catch Boeheim.
But if Arkansas makes the Sweet 16 again next year, that will be back-to-back years where John Calipari's NCAA tournament winning percentage went down.
Yep.
just terrible.
That's something.
Yeah. I know. It's like, and the coaches ahead of him, Coach K at number 1, Roy Williams, number 2, Dean Smith, number 3, Jim Boeheim, number 4, sorry. So, yeah, not too bad. It is funny, though, because almost all those coaches were only at one school. The only coaches that have been to multiple schools are Roy Williams, because he was at 2 with Kansas, North Carolina. These other 2 coaches have been to 4 different schools in college basketball. Cal with UMass, Memphis, Kentucky, and Arkansas, and Bill Self with Oral Roberts, Tulsa, Illinois, and Kansas. So also just thought it was kind of interesting how most of those coaches are all one school people when it comes to all of that. So
shout out to Mario Chalmers, because if he doesn't hit that shot against Memphis, Cal has a ring with Derrick Rose in Memphis. And then he would have that 2, and then the difference between 1 and 2, he'd be viewed differently. He would have an unbreakable legacy, but since Mario Chalmers hit that 3,
Yep. No, they're going to be like, the Mickey Mouse Championships is what it was. You know, it just doesn't count. It's just Mickey Mouse.
It's actually bad, John, that he's done it at multiple schools. That means he's held 4 different programs back from success.
Yeah. But, and he got those guys on UMass and Memphis got put on probation when he left. He left them in shambles. So it's your turn next, Arkansas.
Some are saying Kentucky might have won a title with Cal when COVID shut things down.
I mean, who's to say?
I don't know. They were like 25-6 or something at the time.
Yeah. I mean, I still say Heston Kjerstad's the Golden Spikes winner of 2020. So
exactly.
Sam Pittman was going to go 12-0 too.
Yeah, it's just we're claiming it all. If it only COVID happened, but somehow COVID happened. There's another point I was going to bring up about this discussion with Cal and everything. But oh yeah, and Kentucky fans, I can promise you, this is one guarantee I can give you. If you put Mark Pope on any of those teams, they do not win a title. Not one. The head coaching of any of those Cal teams, they don't win a single title. Just saying. Either way. Let's get to more of your chats here too. Let's see. This is insane. Quinn's on one here. He says, that's not where I come from. I never said he sucks. I just think he should have won 3 or 4 national titles with the talent he had. He
said,
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I was more referring to the Kentucky fans in particular, right, as opposed to Quinn. Now 3 to 4 titles is crazy, but like feel however you want to feel though, you know? Like Auburn had the best team and they were like historically great all season this year. With the amount of quad 1 wins they had, they're like the best team at Ken Palm ever all the way up until very late in the season. I don't view Bruce Pearl any differently because they didn't win the title this year. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't change anything for me. They had a great team. They had a great run. They ran into another really tough matchup. They lost in the final. Like it happens. So, you know,
I just also want to throw in too. It's like, if we talk about this every year, kind of the point you brought up, Andrew, how many teams are the best team going in the NCAA tournament that don't win the title? Like, do you know how many teams that Roy Williams had in North Carolina that's probably the best team heading into it that didn't win the title? So does that mean, he should have had 12, 13? Like, you could do that for everybody and every coach. But it goes back to the whole point I think you were making, Curtis, and all of us, is it's hard to win a title. It's really difficult to win a championship.
Well, yeah, and it's, you know, like if you, like Rick Barnes, for example, how many Final Fours has he made?
0, I think. No, wait, he's made 1.
Okay.
Did he make one at Texas?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you take that into account and like you hold that against him, right? And then he's got the regular season Rick and all that, and he can't make it deep or whatever. But he's really only had 1 in the moment, like actual chance of getting it done. Well, if you're a guy like Cal and you've made 6 Final Fours or however many he has, that's 6 times where it's like you're right there on the brink. So I think people look at that too and they go, oh, well, he's only got 1, so he's really underachieved. No, like he's made it that far 6 times. You know what I'm saying? And like you mentioned, like the Chalmers shot or whatever, the more opportunities you have because you've been that great to get to that point, the more you get dinged if you don't get all the way through. But every other team that's there with you is in the exact same position. Only one of them can come out of it.
Yeah, and I think you make a good point. Like, again, that we look at through a 25-year lens and we're like, hey, out of that 25 years, he should have had X amount of titles or whatever. You can sell me better on if you went back to individual years and you went to maybe that year they were in the title game against Mario Chalmers or whatever. Maybe say, hey, that should have been a title. Okay, whatever. Maybe you say the year that they were 30-0 with Cat and Devin Booker and all them, that should have been a title. I can buy that way more than I can the big picture. Well, all those years he had a lot of talent. He should have won 5 titles or whatever. Especially just because, again, basketball is not the sport that is, super. There's a direct correlation between most talented team and the national champion. In fact, I would say there's less examples of the most talented team winning the national title. If you look back at the last 25 years, like a lot of those teams had a lot of seniors, had a lot of continuity, had a lot of things not talent wise that won them those rings. And so it's like in football, the talent thing I can really get behind. But in basketball, if everyone every single day keeps telling us how talent doesn't matter in basketball, every week of every single year, people say it's not all about talent. You got to have more. You got to have depth. You got to have this. You got to have that. Then how can talent be used as the citing of like why Cal has underachieved? Because he has talent. It's like, oh, well, you're supposed to win titles with talent. Y'all tell us every day that talent doesn't matter that much. And you're right, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, listen, yeah, it could be this is what makes sports great, is because there's so much uncertainty, even if you are the best team and have the best coach. Like I still think in the NFL, that Patriots team in 2007 was the greatest NFL team I've ever seen. I mean, they went they were about to go 19-0, but they didn't. They lost. No one cares anymore. It's like, that's what makes it so fun, is to see all of that too. So we'll continue on and get into some of your chats as well as some other things. But let's go ahead and jump into our best and worst of the weekend, presented by our friends over at Looper Auction and Realty. Why wait months or even years to sell your home the traditional way? Because at Looper Auction and Realty, they offer a faster and smarter option. Sell your home at auction. Simple as that. No repairs, no contingencies, no drawn out negotiations. You set the terms, buyers compete, and you walk away with a firm closing date. Whether it's your home, an estate, or investment property, the auction method puts you in control and gets it sold fast. Call Looper Auction Realty at 479-996-4848. That's 479-996-4848. Or visit looperauction.com. It's Looper Auction and Realty. Sold in 30, closed in 30. All right, guys, to start off my best of the weekend, it's kind of like low-hanging fruit, but still is cool. Shout out to the OKC Thunder, and shout out to Jalen Williams and Isaiah Joe of getting an NBA ring. I don't know how many in a row that is for former Hogs, but I do know that of just over the past 5 years, you've had Moses Moody, you've had Bobby Portis, you've had Jordan Walsh with the Celtics, and now you got Isaiah Joe and Jalen Williams. A lot of Razorbacks, former Hogs, getting those fat rings that they get to have. So really cool from that. But one of the funny moments was last night in the celebration. Apparently, Jalen Williams tried beer for the very first time, or at least that's what he said. But it was a really funny reaction here after the game.
Hey, so! Hey, Riz. Woo! Hey, Riz. Hey, like this. Hey, to the best on the team! I haven't had beer. I haven't drank since February. Oh, yeah, you love that. Yeah, careful, Jay. Little, it's not good. It's not good. Where the tequila?
That's crazy, bro.
Are we buying that that's his first time to ever drink a beer, ever? Are we buying that?
No, but he sure sold it well.
Yeah.
Well,
true.
I mean, listen, clearly, he even said, where's the tequila? Like, obviously, he's a guy that has had a few beverages in his life. But there's a lot of guys who I feel like drink a lot and don't drink beer. I don't know, man. It's just tough. That's a tough look, if I'm being honest with you. Michelob Ultra is not necessarily the most exotic of beer choices. You know what I mean? If someone handed him a hazy IPA or something like that, and he's like, yeah, I don't know about this. Michelob Ultra is not terribly dissimilar from water, my guy. So it's like, yeah, we got to be able to just, get that one down and keep a straight face. Like, come on.
It's like going to a new city and drinking from the tap. Like it's not that crazy, man. That was that was a funny reaction. Tough scenes for Mick Ultra though, for sure. Yeah. Good scenes for tequila. I mean, you could weaponize that and get yourself an endorsement deal, man. But he had to have had a beer before. There's no way that I can believe that Jalen Williams of Fort Smith, of the University of Arkansas for a couple years, been playing ball in Oklahoma City, that he hasn't had a beer before.
I'm going to throw it out there, man. I'm just saying, as someone who lived in Fort Smith for 2 solid years, the number one selling, hopefully this is still a fact, but at least it was when I lived there. The number one selling beer in the River Valley, not only in the River Valley itself, but of this particular beer anywhere in the world, is Busch Light. It's the number one. So maybe you just needed a Busch Light, man, Busch Latte, and that would have been something that he could have changed it up a little bit. But either way,
look at that
I think if he had that reaction to Michelob, I don't know if Busch was necessarily going to like change. Not that it's not different, but it's like I just don't think this is a domestic beer guy.
Yeah, we're not gonna find a beer that tickles his fancy. Maybe like a summer shandy or something.
Yeah, a Natter Day.
Natter Day, exactly.
I was just gonna say, I'm screenshotting this and I'm just gonna post this randomly with when Razorback football gets going and they have some bad game. I'm just gonna be like, "Where's the tequila?" Because it's just gonna be that right there need to happen. But yeah, maybe the beer was warm. I don't know. Maybe we'll get a follow up with old Jay Will, but it doesn't matter because he's an NBA champion. He's got him a ring, and it's awesome. So to me, that was one of my best of the weekend.
I love it. Yeah, and it's kind of tricky here in the dog days to get to best and worst that we haven't already talked about. So I'm going to piggyback off yours a little bit because one of mine was I knew somebody was going to go Wehiva, and I just had to call to attention DVH's Hawaiian shirt. It just made me happy, man. He's tucked into the khakis, got a smile on, looks good. That was needed to see that. I definitely had the J Will and the beer, which I thought was hilarious. But I will piggyback on the congrats to the Pro Hogs. It's very cool, and it kind of stunk last night that him and Isaiah were the only two coaches DNPs on that roster. Because it makes you think like, oh, were they just, like bandwagon ring getters or whatever? But both of them played critical roles for this team throughout the course of a regular season where they won 68 games and got the 1 seed to get the path that they got. And in the playoffs, like Isaiah Joe hit big threes in these playoffs. They probably don't get past Denver if not for the defense that Jay Will played on Nikola Jokic. So both of those guys were really important pieces to the process here. So very, very pumped for them. I wonder if they're going to flip Isaiah Joe elsewhere because I know that they're trying to make sure they can keep kind of their big 3 intact. They've got 2 first-round draft picks this year. Wouldn't surprise me if he wound up getting moved, but super pumped for those guys to both get rings there. The other best that I'll throw out there real quick, and I've got a couple of others, but I think Andrew probably has similar. But I got to give a shout out to Cal and his bride. Celebrating 39 years of marital bliss. Very, very cool. I mean, that's a hell of an accomplishment, but I just love the entire way that Cal went about it. Oops, I accidentally posted what I typed on the plane that like the anniversary is actually tomorrow, low key. I didn't forget the date. Don't worry. And then he's like, oh, got her some flowers and this and that. But hey, we had practice this afternoon, and now I got to head to Oklahoma City on our 39th anniversary because I got to see the boys go out and get a ring. So everything about that just made me smile. Happy, like congratulations to them. But Cal just continues to make me laugh, man. At a time where you need some laughs.
Was Musk there last night?
I think that was an old picture.
Is that an old picture? Okay,
I think so. I don't know if he's actually there, but that's a good question. I need to send those guys a text and see if he was there.
Curtis, you make a great point on the, their contributions to the 68 win team and to obviously the NBA champions. And I'm a firm believer in this. If you're going to win a championship at any sport, any level, you kind of do need everyone. Now, obviously you need some guys more than others, but everyone has to like be all in and play a role. And I'm being dead serious when I make this point, because I see a lot of people already that are like, dude, Jalen Williams over there celebrating like he was the freaking starting center that averaged 20 and 10 or whatever. It is not your place, my place, or any of our places to be like, how should a championship team celebrate? Yep. One, all the players that are involved in it, but like, dude, like Jordan Walsh won an NBA title his first year. He didn't play a ton. That is by far the most significant moment of his life, of his sports career. Like it's just a big deal. And it's something that should never be like downplayed or, overlooked at all. And one, like you said, both those guys actually did play a lot throughout the entire season. I mean, hell, Jay Will, what do you have, 3 straight triple doubles or something at one point?
Yeah.
Like, Joe played key minutes in the playoffs even. He had a lot of huge shots. And even if they didn't play a ton in the finals, it's like that, like those guys still were on that team the entire year. Jay Will might be one of the best hype men in the NBA, which I know, people don't respect that as a real thing, but like that kind of stuff matters, especially when you have something that sets this Oklahoma City team apart is the culture they have, the love that they have for each other, the friendship that all these guys share. And, Shea doesn't do a interview without having all his guys and all that. And you may say that and say, well, does that really have an impact on the court? Maybe, maybe not. But those players in that locker room feel that way. And so it's like, I think they are well within their rights to celebrate like crazy. And I love that. I love seeing them celebrate. And if the players on the team feel that way and they're like, man, this guy shouldn't be celebrating, he didn't do anything, they can feel that way. But I just don't think we can feel that way. I don't think observers. I remember Greg Oden got shamed when he was with the Cavs, or maybe it was the Heat. But it was like late in his career, like his last NBA year, and he made the finals with the Heat, and he was like crying because he was like holding the conference finals trophy and like how much him into it, and people were like shaming him for it. I'm like, dude, like that tells me there's a lot of people who have just never been a part of a team, a brotherhood, or just a family like that. It feels that way, even if you weren't the star player. Like it feels that way, and I honestly, I'm not even trying to be dramatic here, but like, I can't stand when people downplay roles on teams of stuff like that. Like if Arkansas had won the title in baseball, Rocco Pepe would have been the main guy celebrating, and he would have been well within his rights to do it. You know what I mean? Like, he was there all year. It didn't go well for him individually, but like, he was in the locker room. He was there hyping up the boys. He was giving Charles Davalon the speech after the game and all that. Like, all those guys matter, man. And I hate when championship teams have players that just like, you know, are like not allowed to celebrate. They're getting shamed for celebrating. I've got a few different bests of the weekend that I was going to kind of roll into one, but my actual best happened like 10 minutes ago. Norm DeBryan has been inducted into the College Baseball Hall of Fame. This is long overdue. This is long overdue, and I'm so glad it happened. And he's only the second one in Arkansas history. Him and Jeff King are the only two that have been inducted. Norm DeBryan's great, man. Like, what he took over at Arkansas and what he built and then handed off to Dave Van Horn, like, no matter what this Razorback program reaches, what heights they reach, the building blocks were built on top of what Norm DeBryan did. And I'm glad he's getting this honor while he's still with us, man. I have a lot of respect for him, and I know a lot of Razorback fans do as well. I'm really glad they didn't wait till he died to honor him and give him all these flowers and everything. Like, he needs to be, you know, especially the newer fans that are just around it. I'm 27 years old. I wasn't even around for his era, but I think everyone who's just now becoming a fan of Razorback baseball, I know there are a lot of those, and we appreciate everybody. Everyone needs to really understand and appreciate what Norm DeBryan did for the program, and you can read all about it in the performance facility.
Yeah. Well, in fact, I was going to play this. I just got the video of when Norm DeBryan, they posted this of him finding out about his induction. So I haven't watched it yet, so but we'll all watch it together.
Couldn't think of a more perfect place to let you all know this. As you know, last year at the College Baseball Hall of Fame, we inducted Jeff King as the first inductee for the University of Arkansas. I'm proud to announce in February we will have our second inductee, Coach Norm DeBryan.
A great honor, and very appreciative, and just appreciate Hunter Yurchek, our athletic director, Kevin, everybody here. The Razorback fans are the best, and all of our administration, our team, Coach Van Horn, the job he's done, his staff. So thank you. Thank you. Just want to thank the good Lord for longevity. It's embarrassing how old I am, but it is what it is. Thank you.
There you have it.
Let's go, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, I love that. I love again, Norm DeBryan is just a guy that, you know, iconic and legend, and you know, Van Horn obviously, like, you know, he set the standard and he comes in. It's kind of crazy because Arkansas's really only had like two baseball coaches in their entire history. Like it's
5
awesome,
years, man. Two coaches.
Yeah,
Crazy.
and DeBryan, not only that, but it's not like he's an old coach who's like, all right, well, I'm done coaching. I'm just going to go out and, you know, hang out or whatever. The dude was involved with Arkansas and the Razorback Foundation as much as anybody. So, and I'm good friends with his son too, and his son's awesome. So just could not be more deserving. So I'm glad you were able to bring that up, Andrew, because that's awesome for him. It's absolutely awesome. Let's see. I had another. Oh, I wanted to bring this up real too, because I forgot to do it while you were talking about yours, Curtis. But with Cal, I just love these pictures because they're kind of awkward from his.
Casey Wallace's family.
Yep, Cason's family that he's
Like,
hanging out with.
We can't get an usher or somebody to take it. You know, like Cal's got to go full selfie here. Or
I mean, if you're John Calipari, you're going to trust anybody with your cell phone?
yeah,
Like,
you're
come on.
right. You're right.
It's like, but they've got that one. I like this one with Isaiah Jackson's dad. I know he like saying he did get somebody to take this one, but he's not even paying attention. So, but either way, just made me laugh because I'm like, man, he had a heck of a weekend, but got to get him got to get somebody to take his pictures for him, man. You know, get to be a pro.
Musk would never.
No,
Yeah.
no.
I mean, Musk literally will take somebody off of his staff to these places with the sole purpose of you get to come and you get to be at this game. You also get to take the pictures. Like,
yeah. Do you think Musk is the type that like he takes the picture? He's like, all right, let me see it. And he looks at it, he's like, nope, gotta do it again. Do you think he's that type?
I don't know. He might be.
I haven't seen a bad photo posted of him, so I think there's
Right.
a decent chance somebody's doing it.
Is he photogenic or is he, taking multiple takes there? He
Wait,
might be.
Snoop Dogg, don't leave yet. We got to retake it.
He's like, all right, one more. Riley's thumb was on the lens.
Yeah.
Like, we gotta do it again.
Knowing what we know about Muss and knowing some of the behind the scenes stories of Muss, we can all agree that the video of Chad Baker Mazzara leapfrogging him at practice was scripted. That was planned.
Yes.
You don't just get to do that and get away with it.
Yeah. Have Vance Jackson try to do that. See if the reaction's the same. See if the reaction's the same, man. So yeah, that was pretty good. Worst of the weekend for me. This is a very minor one, but I saw this video. I'm like, I got to play this. This made me laugh. We're out of control here with the hype videos and nonsense that's going on social media. This is little league like baseball and this hype video, and like, because they do videos to where they're filming it, but then on the big screen, every college does this, and then it's like, oh, this guy made a play, and it's some like really highly produced. It's like this player, and then it's got fire, and a big a baseball bat hitting a ball, like all this crazy stuff. So this is behind the scenes, and I saw this. I'm like, how is no one getting sued for this? Like, check out this filming of this hype video for this little league baseball team. Yeah, you're gonna mute it, so we're gonna get demonetized. But look at this. Like they're lighting things on fire. Like that kid has a bat and he drops it. And they let that on fire. I'm like, that's not bad enough. But this kid's he's wearing the helmet. And they're lighting it on fire. Like, how is this just? I'm looking like, who is this guy on the left over here? I'm like, he's just like, yeah, I'm gonna do this. This is my job. I want to do this. I just was like, what are we doing here? But anyways.
I can't believe that this is your worst of the weekend, John. Like, I mean, I've already got intern Reagan coming up with ideas for my son's T-ball debut, and it includes some of these things. I think this is fantastic.
This could be best of the weekend easily.
It's absurd. Did you guys get like your little league trading cards or whatever, like those photos? Yeah. It was like, hey, get in your batting stance, snap. Okay, see you, dude. Like this kind of stuff was never, ever, 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 ever remotely even a thought. This is crazy.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd let my kid play with fire like that.
See, I just know there's a dad, there's like 34-year-old dad that's like standing off to the side, and he's wearing an armband, and he's wearing like the like long sleeves under the shorts and all that. Like he's dressed like the biggest douchebag on the planet. And oh yeah, Blaze, love this pick, man. This is sick, bro. Like behind any idea like this is just the lamest grown man you've ever seen. But that being said, I agree with Curtis. I'm actually pro this. I think this is actually kind of cool.
I guess it's like, maybe in theory it's cool, but I don't have a kid. Andrew, I don't think you have a kid. Curtis,
that's
you
for sure.
Yeah, Curtis, you're having a kid here soon. I guess look at it from the perspective of, all right, kids in little league, and all of a sudden I get an email or a text from the coaches. They're like, hey, by the way, we're going to be filming this. We got to sign this waiver though, that we're going to be playing with fire and setting your kid's helmet on fire while we're taking video of it. But you just got to sign this waiver and just say that we're not going to be held responsible for any accidents or anything. And I'm like,
yeah,
okay, you're out of your mind if that's happening. Whoever's, I just, as a parent, I don't think I would sign off on this. Maybe that's the way I'm looking at it. Like, hey, yeah, we're going to set your kids. He's going to be fine. It's fine. It's like the fire, it will be out quick. And we got this guy over here with his, leather sandals and black socks. That's going to put it out really quickly. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's, I guess, why I looked at it as the worst. Because if I was a parent, I'm like, absolutely not.
Yeah, we're gonna create human flames, and and also instead of bats, you can choose between holding a cactus or a snake.
Yeah,
it's up to you, but we're gonna need you to sign off on that for sure.
Yeah. Just think how awesome the video is gonna be. Like,
how old is that kid? 7, 8?
He's a youngster, man.
Yeah. So, anyways, that was more of like, maybe it's just because I had a good weekend and I didn't want to have any other worst, but that was my worst.
I had a good weekend too. My worst of the weekend, I have two, one sports related, one's not. One yesterday, and this is what happens when you don't have Razorback sports. Just cleaned a bunch of stuff, just kind of getting the house ready. We had a kid coming, whatever. We got to do all that. We cleaned out our refrigerator. When's the last time you guys cleaned out your refrigerator?
I don't clean it out like I clean it out pretty like weekly. You know what I mean? Like anything that's in there, I just throw out. Like there's not much in my refrigerator, so I don't have to I don't wait until it's like accumulated and then I throw it out. I throw stuff out like every week.
I gotta ask, do you say clean or clean out?
Well, both.
Okay.
Really.
Clean out. I honestly don't have a set time. It'll be like something where I look at that condiment. I'm like, that's been in there for a while, and I'll just throw it out. Like I don't have a set, but I get what you're saying. I know it's a normal thing to clean out your refrigerator.
Yeah, and so like like leftovers or whatever, like that's one thing, but it is the condiment situation that freaked me out. You can tell what you don't use, by the by looking at the expiration date on some of that stuff, and I'm just like, dude, this has been expired and sitting here untouched for like 3 years. Like this expired in 2023. I just can't believe this. And just the amount of waste that went into it was just absolutely ridiculous to me. With some of the things we had, mainly condiments though, for sure. I'm a sauce guy, it's like I'll have a particular meal and I'll buy a particular sauce or whatever and use it. And I just put it in the door or whatever. And then looking at it, I'm like, good God, this is crazy. Didn't find a bunch of mold or anything like that, but just stuff that was old, man. I couldn't believe it was still in there. Was wild behavior. It's spick and span in there now though, man, for sure. And then Tyrese Halliburton ripping his Achilles in half.
Yeah.
It's just horrible. And he was out there cooking early. What, he hit 3 threes in the first few minutes of that game. Trying to play through, a sore calf, strained calf, whatever. That's always risky business. Ask KD. And it got him there. And that it sucks because there's no way, because I automatically heard people saying he should have never played. It's his own damn fault for trying to push through it. Or, oh, what the med staff, what are you doing? It's a calf strain, bro. It's game 7 of the NBA finals. He was never going to not give it a go, but that is the risk that you run when you do it. And it just sucks, man, that happened.
Yep.
He had also played his, go ahead, John.
I was just going to say, to your point too, I saw like Colin Cowherd, which I actually like, and it's a take or whatever. He's like, NBA playoffs need to be, limited more games or this type of stuff's going to happen. I'm like, I think just sports and injuries happen. It sucks, but I don't think that if they would have lessened it by 5 games, then, oh no, he would have been perfectly healthy and this would have never happened. I mean, accidents happen. It sucks.
Yeah, this is an unfortunate incident. It is not the product of a flawed process. You know what I mean? It's just, like you said, Curtis, it's one of those, yeah, you probably shouldn't play through calf strains. Yeah. But it's like in game 7, by the way, he played his absolute ass off in game 6. So it's like, that was the game that you're really worried about. And he had played well in that one. So yeah, it sucks. For my worst of the weekend, John, I have to talk about some UFC stuff, but this is at least one that should catch your attention a little bit because I think this name. The Barry Bonds of MMA retired over the weekend.
God, this is on my best.
John, did you catch wind of John Jones's announcement?
Oh, yeah, because did Dana White say something about it, I guess, and announce it?
So I'm gonna for all our listeners that probably don't like me talking about MMA, whatever. I want to give the full timeline on this, just so everyone understands what happened, and it needs to be told historically this way. So John Jones again is the Barry Bonds of MMA. He's popped for steroids. You can knock that against him, but if you're just going off of what he's accomplished, what he's done in the sport, he's the greatest. Like there's not really any debate about it. He's never been beaten in the octagon. All that. He was the light heavyweight champion, which is 205 pounds. He was the light heavyweight champion for like a decade. And it was 2020 when he finally vacated that belt. And then he took 3 years off and moved up to heavyweight. And John Jones is a big guy, but, not necessarily. Like he's like 235, 240 pounds. Some of the heavyweights are 265. So he took 3 full years to bulk up to heavyweight. Fights. He was supposed to fight Francis Ngannou, but he waited for Francis Ngannou to leave the company before he could finally get in there. He fights a dude named Cyril Gane, who's French and sucks, submits him in 1 round, becomes the heavyweight champion. And this is in March of 2023. And so at this point, you're John Jones, and we know we only have a few fights left with him. That summer, a guy named Tom Aspinall from the UK wins a big fight, and he hops on the microphone, and he's like, I want to win one more fight, and then I want to fight John Jones. I want to fight him for the belt. That November, John Jones suffers an injury. He tears his pec. And so they have to do what they call an interim heavyweight title fight between Tom Aspinall, this guy from the UK, and this guy Sergey Pavlovich, who was the backup fighter. Tom knocks that guy out in 1 round. And so now you have the situation where you have John Jones as the heavyweight champion, and you have an interim heavyweight champion in Tom Aspinall, who's this young star from the UK they're trying to build up. Every single time this happens in UFC history, the interim fights the undisputed. You determine it right there. You just figure out. Instead of doing that, John Jones is like, yeah, actually, I don't really want to fight this Tom Aspinall guy. I want to fight Stipe Miocic, who is 41 years old, has not fought in 5 years, and at one point was the heavyweight champion. I'd rather fight him. So they pushed this back all the way into November of this past year. John Jones fights Stipe Miocic. Tom Aspinall, by the way, defends his interim belt. How the hell do you defend an interim belt? I don't know. He goes out and defends it, knocks another guy out in one round. And so, again, gets on the mic and says, hey, John, I would just like to fight. I think I'm better than you. Let's figure this out. John Jones, again, says no, fights Stipe Miocic, who looked like a grandpa in there, who is literally a firefighter. He is a volunteer firefighter. That's who John Jones chooses to fight, fights him in November. And then the whole time, the whole week, everyone's like, hey, are you going to fight Tom? What's going on? Are you going to fight Tom? Tom shows up, sits front row, and is like, hey, let's do the fight. I'm ready to do it tomorrow. If Stipe's not ready, I'll fight you tonight. The whole time, John is like, yeah, I just really don't want to fight him. You know, the guy's an asshole. I'm not interested in doing his business with him. I'd rather fight someone else like Alex Pereira, or maybe I'll fight Francis Ngannou. Y'all wanted me to fight him a few years ago. Wants to do anything but fight this guy. And all along, Dana White's been like, no, we'll get the fight done. We'll get the fight done. John versus Tom. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And they kept pushing it back, kept pushing it back. Finally, John Jones retires and is just like, actually, I don't want to do it. And so now Tom Aspinall's the heavyweight champion, and it's kind of a weird thing. And it sucks for John Jones because he is the greatest, but the final chapter of his career will be ducking Tom Aspinall, who Curtis and I are just massive fans of. We love Tom Aspinall.
Major duck alert.
Major duck alert. I mean, it's rare that you see someone retire from their sport just to avoid fighting someone that they should fight and said they would fight.
Listen, that was great. That was really well done, and I respect it. The most impressive thing, though, about that, Andrew, was how much better you are at pronouncing names than I am, because that was incredible. Some of those names, I'm like, I have zero shot in those names. But
you know, it's funny. Stipe Miocic is from Cleveland, Ohio. You hear that name and you're like, oh, where was he? Russian? What are they? From freaking Cleveland.
Yeah, sounds about right. Okay, I feel like I have another worst of the weekend. Nah, I can get to it later. We got plenty of time here in the summertime to start talking about some stuff too. But we'll get into some final chats as well as some other things here. For example, our friends over at BetSaracen, the number one sports betting app in the state of Arkansas. It's not even close. You may have the college sports scene ending, but you still got Major League Baseball going on. You still have plenty of futures to bet on when it comes to college football, when it comes to the NFL and everything. So get on top of it, because the odds right now are great. So check it out by downloading the app on your iPhone or on your Android, or you can check them out and get the betting and winning today at BetSaracen.com. Appreciate their partnership with us here at Inside Arkansas. Guys, I hate to ask this question because it's daunting, but I'm curious. Curtis, you brought up Tyrese Halliburton, his injury. Sucked. What is the worst injury of the Razorback sports that you can ever remember? Like, as far as just something that was in a moment, in a game, in a season that was just like, God, why? Is there one that comes to y'all's mind at all? I mean, I have a few I'll throw out there. One of them being Jackson Wiggins. Very upset when that happened before the year, because it was your ace and you were expecting a lot. And another one, it ended up being a fine, but I remember when Niall Davis went down in 2011 with a season-ending injury in fall camp. Arkansas still won 11 games, but Niall Davis was like first-team All-American. And that was something that I remember it being tough. But either way, I just didn't know if you guys, it's just something I thought about, where I'm like, man, was there any injuries and moments or games that y'all remember that was just like brutal timing, and obviously horrible for the kid, but just horrible like that?
I mean, right. My mind automatically goes basketball naturally, but Trevin, man, when that happened, coming off of Maui and the performances there, and you're kind of seeing what his potential was, and then at the same time, you're getting Nick Smith back healthy and in the fold with that team. They had one game where they had the full squad, and they just beat the absolute hell out of San Jose State. And it was actually Trevin and Nick who were at the podium for that game. And, like coming off of Maui, there were people, even though Arkansas lost to Creighton in that one game, there were a lot of people in national circles that were like, this Arkansas team has got like Final Four goods. And that just altered the course of everything. And it took him more than 2 years to really get past it. We've seen that firsthand. So that one stands out to me. And then also, not really an injury, but like medical condition. I think about Khalil Garland. And what could have been with him. And I mean, on the fortunate standpoint, it was caught and they figured it out and everything. And so that kind of averted the risk of anything that could have happened with him playing. But just such a fun talent, you know, and an in-state kid and everything. And you always have the what could have beens, you know, there with him as well.
So I've got one for every sport. My football one, there are two that come to mind, and they're the same person, Raleigh Williams III.
Yeah.
So his first one, of course, happens his freshman year, 2015. They're playing Auburn. And I remember for some reason, this is another, like, I remember vividly where I was. I had a choir event on this day. I had made All-State for choir. You guys can't relate to that kind of stuff because you're not All-State choir performers. But we had a big concert that I had to go to, and it sucked because I had to watch the game on my phone before the concert. I was in an Applebee's in New Orleans, but I was watching on my phone, and the play happens, and they just go straight to commercial. Like, as soon as the play happens, it ended. They just go straight to commercial. And I was like, what the hell? And I'm watching on my phone with no sound, and I was so confused. And then you come back and you kind of realize what happened, and he had been face masked and then hit side, and it basically broke his neck, right? He comes back, has an awesome 2016 season, and then the spring game happens, and he has like a very normal play that left with a stinger and ended up ending. That was the final play of his career. That was a tough one. I just remember being gutted for him, and Raleigh was such a cool like personality, and he had such a good year. Like, he was a great running back, and he's gone on to he's a stud. So he's gone on to have a great career outside of football. But I always kind of wonder what his career could have been, how much money he could have made in the NFL and all that. And then there's tons of them for football that I could really think of. Basketball, one that like isn't a big deal, but I remember being bummed out at the time. Marshawn Powell getting hurt to start Mike Anderson's first year. He was their best returner. He was their biggest player at 6'7". So they needed that size, and he was like, one of the better power forwards in the league. As soon as he got hurt, we knew that first Mike Anderson team had no chance of making the tournament. And if you look at how that year played out, they went like 19-13 or something like that. Had they had Marshawn Powell, they probably could have made the tournament. Like, they would have at least been on that fringe. And I just remember how bummed I was. It was like game 2. I'm like, damn, you're just not going to make it here. Baseball, you mentioned Jackson Wiggins. That's a tough one. Peyton Paulette in 2021.
Ooh, yeah.
Of course, that team wound up not, making the World Series and all that, but that team felt like a team of destiny. Peyton Paulette, for a while, was the Friday night starter on that team, and he wound up transitioning to the bullpen role, not terribly dissimilar from what Gabe Gackle did this year. And so when Peyton Paulette, and anytime you have the pitcher that throws the pitch and then starts shaking, and you're like, oh, man, that one actually got even worse because they opted not to have Tommy John surgery and bring him back, and then he winds up tearing it in January, and it's like, crap, even like worst case scenario. That was a tough one for sure. I feel like there was one other baseball one. Honestly, there's unlimited baseball ones that you could probably point to in terms of arm injuries and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, again, I know it's a tough topic to discuss, but it's like something that I think every sport in every regard has gone through and has been tough. So just the Tyrese Halliburton thing is like, I mean, couldn't imagine a worse timing for such a serious injury, especially now where not only in Game 7 of the NBA Finals, but since the torn Achilles, he's probably going to be out for time next season. So it's like, it's just all bad there. So hate to see that.
Shout out Kevin Ware. Y'all remember him?
No, I don't want to talk about that one.
Worst leg break I've ever seen in my life.
Stop. That one I can't still watch. Also, that should have been one of my worst of the weekend is how many times they replayed the freaking Halliburton injury. Like, they did not stop replaying that.
Right.
Slow-mo. You can just see the ripple.
Yeah. Golly, man. It's just tough. So hated seeing that. All right. So we'll get some chats before we get out of here. Appreciate everybody tuning in with us. We got shout out to our guy, Dre. Good to see you, Dre. He says, Muss is the type to say, let's just try one with my shirt off, is when we're talking about his photos and everything. So.
He would be that guy. He would be that guy for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Let me bring something up real quick because I don't know how this wasn't on Andrew's best of the weekend, or maybe it just got lost in translation with the Norm DeBryan stuff. You don't want to do your KD thing here, or
so I thought about it as soon as we finished the segment. I was like,
okay.
Oh, that probably could have been it. I had like I said, before the Norm DeBryan thing happened, I had like 4 things that you could all kind of add up. The KD trade, I can't believe how many people have reached out and made fun of the Rockets for it. They're like, oh, wow, you gave all that up for washed KD. They gave up the 10th overall pick, which is a stupid, like, in this draft is useless. That's a bench player. 2 second-round picks next year. Jalen Green, which, Curtis, how many times have you heard me say, I hope the Rockets can find a way to get rid of Jalen Green? Like, I like him. I think he's a good player, but, like, doesn't really contribute to winning basketball. That is an all-time Trojan horse, I feel like. Like, we kind of put this package together, and we were like, hey, 22-year-old that averages 20 per game? Just, there's nothing inside this this thing here. Yeah, just take this package. I can't believe it worked. I felt bad for our guy Scotty, who was like texting last night trying to talk himself in. He's like, Dylan Brooks, defensive versatility. I'm like, bro, you are screwed, bro. Y'all have no chance. And look, KD is old. He's been banged up. He's had Achilles injuries. He's not the prime Pete KD, but for what he's going to need to be for this Rockets team, which is just kind of a veteran presence and a scorer, an efficient shooter and scorer, he will always be that.
Yeah. Yep.
I also just laugh because it's like, what is that? I guess OKC now has more titles, or just as many. Did Kevin Durant win 1 or 2?
He didn't win any in Oklahoma City.
Oh no, I know, but in his career,
2, I believe.
Okay,
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just kind of crazy that OKC. Everyone thought that, here's your chance with the big 3, and KD's got 2, and the other 2 have none, and OKC has 1. So
It was kind of funny how it happened when he was at that Fanatics thing.
oh man, that was brutal.
Yeah, and he's just like up there, on the podium, kind of getting interviewed or whatever, and then all the people are screaming at him. Like, he knew that it was coming or whatever, but it broke, and everybody's like, "You're going to the Rockets, dude." And he's like, "Oh, yeah, that's crazy."
Sweet. Yeah, that was rough.
You have any message for the Phoenix Suns fans out there? He's like, "Well, y'all wanted me gone, and now I'm gone. So I guess you got what you wanted." I was like, "Damn."
Yeah,
I like that aspect of it. Also, if we're since we're just talking about the trade, I like that. Like, KD, this is an all-time buying his stock at the lowest possible moment, because everyone's kind of anti-KD. He had requested a trade, so the leverage wasn't that great for Phoenix. I think you're going to get a KD who's like motivated, ready to be a part of a winning team, wants to start this organization, and I think the Rockets are a very real threat next year, man. I mean, I thought they had a great overachieving season this year. The Rockets are going to be a problem, and it's nice because I don't think the Texans or the Astros are a threat to the title in their current season.
Let's see some more chats here too. Shout out to Quinn. He goes, pound for pound, skill for skill, Demetrius Johnson is the best MMA fighter in the world has seen. I don't know what that means, but I'll show you.
True statement. Do you know the term Mighty Mouse, John?
Yeah, I know Mighty Mouse.
Well, Demetrius Johnson is Mighty Mouse.
He is Mighty Mouse. Yeah.
I like that Quinn knows ball, because he said pound for pound, which that's like a fighting term, of course. But if you're doing the pound for pound, Demetrius Johnson's 125 pounds. That's not very many pounds for the legacy he's building. So if you're really doing pound for pound, Mighty Mouse got to be top 2 at the absolute lowest.
Well, Quinn also goes on to say, again, I assume you guys know what this is. Don't respect Stipe. Stipe is one of the best heavyweight of all time. Saying he's just a firefighter is crazy.
Okay.
It wasn't disrespecting Stipe. I think everybody understands what Stipe was and respects his career and everything like that. Still a 40-year-old volunteer firefighter who hadn't fought in how long when that happened? Like, it's not like he fought prime Stipe there. And I think that's what Andrew was getting at. But
yeah, did Jake Paul beat Mike Tyson, the heavyweight champ? You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
One is a real one. Like, don't disrespect Mike Tyson, bro. He was a champion. It's like, okay, is that what we're doing here?
Yeah.
All respect to Stipe.
Stipe. Stipe. Don't spell your name like that if you expect me to read it. Come on. Shout out to Finch. He goes, I couldn't take off work, but luckily my retired mom was able to drive the 5.5 hours to take him to the camp that started today. He's talking about, I guess, his kid. But anyway, says Cal treated her and his little bro like gold after he was great with my son. So
that's awesome.
Good. Love hearing those stories. Let's see. Also, Austin from work, we were talking about injuries, says not on the field, but Quincy McAdoo was sad. Yeah, that is one of the saddest ones. That's one. And also David says Catalan, which was pretty brutal. I remember that twice. Yeah,
honestly,
twice for that one. Let's see. We also got Quinn talking about, what's that name again? There we go. His torn ACL in 2019 against UNC in the Sweet 16. We would have beat Virginia and won the Natty if we had Chuma. I don't know. He may have still fouled him. He may have still fouled him there, Quinn.
True. That was a brutal beat right there, though. Losing him at that time was a killer. I forgot about that.
He was a great player in college. I don't know if he was ever going to be like this elite NBA player, but I do feel like he was never the same after that injury. Like, he never really got over it and had a long, prosperous pro career.
Let's see. Also, Witty, I don't know what's happening, but he says the Chinese invented the bat and COVID sickness just to cancel Arkansas's baseball season to keep Arkansas from winning a natty that year. I mean,
they weren't winning a natty that year, dog.
Yeah, no, I don't think they were winning natty because they didn't have the pitching. But I will say that Heston Kjerstad was going to win the Golden Spikes. That dude was killing it. Like,
Arkansas
so
had Cole Austin starting at first base, and Connor Nolan as a sophomore was the Friday guy. They were not winning the title in 20. I love that team. They were not winning the title.
yeah. David wants to know, Andrew, who is Dylan Grego?
So David, every now and then people in the chat just like let you know that they know what's going on. Dylan Grego is I don't know how it's pronounced. Is it Grego? He is basically, at this point in time, probably Arkansas's top target for the Wehiva Aloy replacement. There's been some other names they've been involved in. Obviously, the Hakopian kid from Maryland was a big one. Jaron Advincula, I believe is how you're saying that name. He's from Cal. Everyone's in that mix. I think Grego is kind of their, like, I don't want to say fallback option, but he's a pretty damn good fallback option. We're going to talk a little bit about portal and roster breakdown on today's Bombastic, but shortstop from Ball State, certainly one to watch.
Okay, a few more here. I meant to get to these earlier, but Sweet Arkansas Gal says, hey there, dudes, lunchtime apple today. Sitting wondering what hoops will jump through today to come up with a fun show. Well, hopefully we delivered.
This was easy. Yeah.
Hopefully we delivered for you. Let's see. JT Hazelwood's giving us some ideas for content. He says, dog days of summer here, boys. Incoming top 10 Razorbacks with hair content. I'll be watching anyway.
We were talking about expired products in our fridge. I want to shout out Hazelwood for bringing me some Tall Boy Coors Lights that were expired when he brought them. Because then he came over to my house not too long ago, and he was like, oh, you still have these Tall Boys? They're probably expired by now. And he looked at the date, and he was like, oh, they were actually expired months before I brought them over. I'm like, well,
fantastic.
Glad I didn't drink them then.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything worse than the awkwardness of getting a gift that you're actually really enjoying, but then you see that it's expired. Because that's happened to me, too, before, where I'm like, so do I make fun of them for this? Do I even tell them? Because they really wanted it. I don't know what the approach is there, but also shout out to our guy Earl. He's watching from Cologne, Germany.
Wow.
So
like that.
Excellent, Earl. If you're still in the chat, I'm just curious if you want to throw it out there why you're there. I mean, are you stationed there? Are you visiting? Like, I'm just curious as to what brought you. I assume it's called Cologne because that's what it is in America. But if it's Cologne or something crazy like that, then I'm sure you're going to let me know that too. So either way. Let's see. Yeah, basically do it. For us here today. Hey, good show. Plenty of stuff. There's plenty of stuff to talk about. What are we talking about here? But before we get out of here, guys, any final thoughts on the show today?
No, not really. I mean, it's a good show. I'm excited to see where the dog days take us. I'm imagining it's going to quickly get off the rails, which is when we do some of our best work for sure. But remember everything else that we do. That is one thing I wanted to throw out there. Obviously it's portal season for baseball. So make sure that you stay tapped into everything that's going on with Bombastic. The Pot at the Palace lives on. We still roll that thing out there daily with some fresh Arkansas basketball content. And that's going to continue to roll us right into fall camp. So there's, hey, it's the dog days, it's the off season, whatever. We're flipping the page to a new athletic calendar year. But what we do right here at Inside Arkansas does not stop for anybody.
Well, I actually had a few final thoughts and some things to promote, but I'm committed to the Sam Pittman voice at the end of the show, and so got to do it. But I think the Bombastic Podcast is a fine show that you should tune into, and a lot of interesting stuff with the portal. And go Hogs!
I can't say it better than that. My final thought, real quick. I didn't want to spend too much time on this, but I had a post about a year ago, and where we're at now, and where I'm at now. And I just want to say thank you to everybody who reached out for that. I was overwhelmed by the amount of people that reached out. A lot of people didn't even know what I was going through, or what we were going through. But I just want to say thank you for all the kind words and everything. And just, again, it was awesome. And also, I don't know how Kirk Herbstreit found it, but he did. And there's been a discussion there. So that'll be kind of cool. We'll see. But either way, just want to say thank you for everybody. And, again, it's just crazy what we've done in a year. Just imagine what we're going to do in this next year. I mean, it's only up and up from here. So either way, appreciate all of you. Appreciate everybody listening in, watching in. Be sure to subscribe to us here at Inside Arkansas on our YouTube page. Follow all of our audio podcasts wherever podcasts are found at Inside Arkansas Live, at Bombastic Podcast, at Pot at the Palace, all that great stuff. Follow us on social media at Inside Arkansas, and we're going to keep it going from there. So for Andrew Ellis, as well as Curtis Wilkerson, I'm John Neighbors. Same sports show, same sports channel tomorrow afternoon. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. We will see you then.